Okay, we're gonna start with the ingredients you need for a donuts, and those will be the best fluffy donuts you ever made, polished version. So all the ingredients you can see in here, very simple ingredients, not many. We're gonna start that. We're gonna be frying our donuts. We need some fat to fry our donuts. I'm gonna be using, I need quite a lot of it. You want quite a lot because you don't want them to go down to the bottom and burn. So this is very important as well. And we'll be using few of those blocks in here for frying our donuts. Of course, you can use olive oil if you wanted to. Vegetable oil would be fine. So it's up to you, whatever you can get your hands on. This one will be the best for frying donuts, polished donuts. If you don't have it, just get vegetable oil. Now we want something inside our donuts, so you can choose whatever you fancy. This one is basically, you can use any jam inside. I'm gonna be using plum jam. My daughter really likes plum jam, so I never tried that one. I think that will be really tasty and she'll really like it. So you want something for a filling inside, or you can make them plain without it, but usually donuts need something inside. A bit of jam will be good. Now the main ingredients. What we need is flour. This flour, I will recommend it, is just a flour perfect for donuts, and this one is type plain flour, type 550. You can find flour in any supermarket. Just make sure you get a correct type. This one is extra fluffy, so the donuts will be nice and fluffy. So we need 300 grams. We will need some salt, just table salt. We will need some yeast, and we'll need about 20 grams. Those are fresh yeast, and 20 grams we need. You can use a dry one as well. It's up to you which one you've got. You can get your hands on, or you prefer. They both will work the same. Now we need some butter. So we need butter around 30 grams. We need 2 egg yolks. We need sugar, only 40 grams. We'll need some vodka or spirit. If you don't have 1 tablespoon, if you don't have any spirit, which is about 5 grams, use vinegar, white vinegar, 1 spoon instead of spirit, so that's completely fine. And we'll need milk. Full fat milk is always the best in any baking. I've got semi-skimmed milk in here, and we'll need about 170 grams, which is like 170 milliliters, I would say. So that's all we need. That's all our ingredients. So let's get started. Okay, we're gonna start. So we need to put all our yeast, and then to this we're gonna add some milk. Well, milk has to be warm up to 30 degrees. If your milk will be cold, the yeast not gonna work, and if the milk gonna be too hot, it's gonna kill the yeast. So it's important, it has to be 30 degree warm milk, and we're adding only half of it. So half of milk going in. We're going to add a pinch of salt. You need to measure 300 grams of your flour. And we're going to add 1.5 tablespoons to our yeast mixture here now. I'll leave our yeast mixture for about 15 minutes in one place. We're gonna measure 30 grams of butter in here, and we want to melt it. We don't want to add very hot butter, so we want to cool it down a little bit. Okay, as you can see in here, the yeast is working because you've got lots of bubbles. That's a sign of yeast working. It's not too hot in my house, so it took 30 minutes for mine to work. So that's okay. Just remember, guys, that you can't do this by hand, but we've got a mixer, so I'm gonna help myself. Using a mixer, you want the end for a bread. I'm gonna start with the sugar and the egg, and we're gonna mix it in the mixer. Use normal end like this for a mixer to mix this. So what we're gonna have to do now is just add flour and milk and create the dough, but we're gonna change the end to this one for the bread. And then once this is done, the dough is created, we're gonna add some butter. Make sure the dough is perfect and elastic, and then at the end we're gonna add some spirit, and that will be then done. Over flour and milk, then we're gonna add the yeast mixture, active yeast mixture, to our dough and mix it until nice and smooth. And doing it by hand, obviously it's gonna take you double time, but you're gonna mix about 10 minutes. After probably 10 minutes you can see the dough. We've created a dough in here, nice and smooth. We're gonna be adding slowly a little bit melted butter at a time, small amounts. It cannot be hot, and we'll keep mixing. That dough is really nice and elastic and it doesn't stick to the walls of the bowl, then we can add some spirit slowly by a few bits. Okay, our dough is done. How do we know if it's done when you're using a mixer? Can you see the bowl? The dough has licked every single bit of it, so clean it up everywhere, so that means it's all done. And we're gonna move all the dough in here in a bowl, cover it. Why do we cover the dough? So it doesn't dry out. It's very important. You have to cover it with a tablecloth and leave it for 40 minutes. About 30 minutes, 40. As you can see in here, doubled in size. What we want to do is take it out, slightly move it around. We want to keep all the air inside, so you have to be careful what you're doing with it. And we're gonna leave it for another 15 minutes. Okay, we're gonna take our dough out and we want to use a scale to measure 70 grams each one should have. About 7 of them, and extra one, so we'll check the oil if it's ready with this little one. We have to roll them in a bowl, basically with your hands. Roll them in round balls now. Okay, we have formed round balls, and now we're gonna leave it for 15 minutes in one place. Okay, what we have to do now, we're gonna grab one of them, and this is a very important part. We're gonna have to make a space for a filling. So there's lots of air in here, and we all want to keep it air, so it's going to be nice and fluffy. So we want to do it like we do with pizza. We're basically making a space by pushing it on the sides, like we do pizza. We're making a space for a filling, and then we're going to add Don't be afraid, do lots of big space. And then we're gonna add a filling, 1 teaspoon. I'm gonna go in and then we want to close it, but closing it's really important as well because we want to close it well so the filling doesn't come out when we're frying them, so this is really important. Okay, with closing it, we want to roll it into a bowl, make sure it's good. We're gonna leave it for 15 minutes and we're gonna fry it. Okay, we prepared everything for our donuts frying. We've got a fat in a wok. You can use a pan, normal pan, it's fine. The most important part is we want the temperature between 175 to 80, the highest. We don't want to go higher than that. We want to fry, don't want to overcrowd the pan, so about 3 or 4 at a time. We've got chopsticks to turn them around, and we're gonna put them on a paper so the fat can go, the paper can soak the fat. That's everything. Those we had a spare one, we're gonna throw them to try if the fat is ready. So if you're gonna start frying it up, that means it's ready. Easy. Enough fat so the donut doesn't touch the bottom, otherwise it's gonna get burned. We're gonna be frying our donuts. We need to grab the donut and we're gonna turn it around, and that's how we're gonna fry it, that way around. You're not gonna have enough oil because this is not enough oil. Your donut gonna be burnt, so you can see on top, this top in here, donut is burnt, and inside, can you see? Because there was not enough oil, if it's supposed to be floating, it's gonna get burned from the bottom, and it's gonna be raw inside as well. You can see in here, it's basically raw. You can't eat that because you're gonna have stomach pain.